Welcome to the live stream, folks.
The world needs ways to reduce carbon emissions.
We're working on solutions in our own operations.
Like carbon capture.
And clean energy from hydrogen.
So, who are we?
Believe it or not, ExxonMobil. And our solutions could help businesses in manufacturing,
commercial transportation,
And power generation too.
heavy industry with low emissions. Let's deliver.
Learn more at exxonmobil.com.
Soak up the summer savings with Family Dollar. Whether you're shopping for daily essentials or planning a sun-filled trip, Family Dollar has amazing deals on the stuff you need this season, such as coolers, sunscreen, beach towels, and more. Stop and store for great everyday savings, and then check out the Family Dollar app to see how you can save more than ever before with smart coupons. It's simple. Just open the app, click, and save. Only at Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Hey guys, it's Megan. Before we record, I just wanted to say a few things. I noticed that, I'm sure you've noticed that we didn't record last week. And I'm going to be honest.
We missed you.
It's coming to a point where we've been doing this for 2.5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And we honestly thought things would start to grow at some point, and they haven't.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not making the statement to tell you guys like we're quitting. We're not quitting. But we are going to kind of take the show in a little bit of a different direction. It's going to be the same content that you like. We're just going to try out some new things to try and see if anything can help maybe grow the podcast a little bit.
Because it's our baby. That's what we want to happen.
Well, and not only that, but
baby in the whole damn world.
We started talking. Well, I started talking. I kind of pointed this out mostly, but there's a lot that goes into how we do the show currently.
A lot.
And we want to do videos and everything else. And in the time that it takes to edit an episode, it's almost not worth it.
Yeah.
And it is a podcast. Like, I think what we've been doing is great. I like it. I enjoy it, but it doesn't seem it's working for everybody. And that's fine. So we'll try some new things. And I'm not saying that every once in a while, maybe we won't do one like we have in the past.
If you're doing a live stream once in a while and play games.
We do want to try taking it in a little bit of a different direction, more of a podcast. If you're here, we hope you're here because you like us and you like to hear us talk.
Hopefully, because that's what we do.
Yeah,
we talk.
If you want a dramatized version of most of these stories, you can just go online and watch a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And this will allow us more, time to do more of the things that we've been saying. This is why videos haven't come out. It's very stressful that, for the most part, besides our 2 Patreons, this show, we do this for free.
Yes.
We
do.
You hear commercials, but that's because of Spreaker.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you guys, we don't even make $30 a month doing this show. So we haven't, in 2.5 years, we haven't even made enough money to pay for the setup.
Straight to the damn floor.
And that was on us for buying it.
But
we wanted to try and have some good equipment to put out good content for people.
We want quality.
We want to grow the show. We want to do more. We want to be able to do all of these things.
Yeah, we want to be able to bring you videos and Patreon episodes and regular episodes. And who knows, maybe a whole nother show on top of it.
Yeah, we'd love to. But in the 20 hours that it takes,
I mean, honestly, it takes more than that. It really takes more than that.
Edit just one episode, let alone research and write.
Yeah.
And we have to sit down and record, and it's crazy.
I mean, anybody out there knows that they wouldn't go to work for free to do, 2 or 3 days of editing, which sometimes I cram into one day. I will just stay up all day and all night.
Yeah.
And then all the research, and then, so it's a lot. It's a lot.
We love doing this.
Yeah, we're not going to stop.
Absolutely love doing this. I think we're just going to try out a few new things.
Yeah,
we hope that you guys will come along for the ride.
We're just going to take it in a different direction. And we hope you guys understand. And we really honestly hope you guys enjoy it. So with that being said, I think it's time to get into the show now.
At least the music is better. Was that his love? because I feel like someone is supposed to scream at this part.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back again to For the B-oos.
Clearly, not all things are changing.
No,
So,
my intro will stay the
yeah.
same.
So we are back. I'm sorry if I sound a little. I have kind of lost my voice a little bit.
He did. It was my fault. Totally my fault.
That's right. Megan paraded me through town yesterday,
I did.
and
What did you do?
I was screaming, and I should be all right. As long as, like I said before we started, as long as I don't like yell or anything, I should be all right.
Yes, my husband joined me in a town parade to
Yeah.
promote my job. He helped me out and came along with the
That's
kids,
right.
and we had a great time. It was super fun.
That's right. I had to bring the ruckus. I had to do a lot of yelling. But anyways, we are going to do an episode today that I'm almost positive that nobody's heard of. I had never heard of it. And the only reason that I found out about this was so different from how we would normally do this. And it was who the person involved in the story actually reached out to us to ask us to do it.
I am so excited for this episode.
There's going to be some words that I'm probably not going to be able to pronounce correctly because this happens in the UK, and they're like, I believe they're Welsh words, however you say that. Welsh words. I won't do that anymore.
It's Welsh and
so there's going to be some stuff that it's going to be hard
Welsh
to
and
pronounce.
sir.
So, Andrew, if you listen to this, I apologize. I am doing my best. We are American. But he reached out to us, and it is a location called the Gladstone Villa. Now, if you look this up now, technically it doesn't exist today. The building is there, but it is something else now. Now, I did more footwork for this than I've ever done in the aspect of like, I did write a story that I'm going to read, but I also like I tried to reach out to former people who lived in the home, which I think they're all dead now. I did talk to Andrew. I reached out to, I don't know if it's still a hotel. I know it was. I think it's still. I reached out to them. Nobody got back to, I couldn't get anybody to get back to me. So I just had to write what I could find. I did ask Andrew to kind of write us a few things. And this is what he said. He said, my statement about the location of Gladstone Villa property, it's in a town called Bargoed. It looks like Bargoed. I've heard people say that it's supposed to be pronounced Bargod, but he says it's Bargoed.
Okay.
So Bargoed is a former mining town in the South Wales Valleys, 17 miles from Cardiff, 8 miles north of Caerphilly. I don't know the word. This is what I'm saying. It's like Caerphilly or something. Now, the town is steeped in history, going back to medieval times and the Iron Age. Wow. Ooh, this is going to be a word that gets me. Saint Catwig. I don't know how to say this. Catwg. Any ideas?
It's G.
Okay,
nope.
He was a pious man who was elected abbot who was responsible for more than 36 monasteries, and there was a small monastery in Bargoed in the 15th century.
That's it.
Now they toiled for produce and substance.
That's enough.
I really hope this is a statement that you require. And it kind of was, but it wasn't. I was looking more like to the location itself, but this did end up helping because it was really hard to find anything beyond it just being a mining town. Now the crazy thing is like we have hyper focused in the past about like it's not just like what happens at a location, it's what happens before or on the grounds of.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is a mining town. This is before people cared about putting masks on. This is pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely pre-COVID.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, so people had the black lung and people were dying left and right in this town. I did ask, I'm gonna read this. I didn't know when to read this before or after, but before we get into the story, I did ask him, I said, can I ask you, Andrew, what kind of impact did all of this have on you now as an adult? Because, some people say it really affects them.
Right.
And this is what he says. This is his statement about, how he is now pertaining to when he lived there. And he said it left quite an incredible mark on me and my mother, Caroline. The whole experience was frightening, but fascinating at the same time. It made me obsessed with the paranormal and turned my mother, Caroline, a nervous, timid person. But we survived because we didn't get the activity 24/7. We lived relatively normal lives. The main activity took place in the evening, but occasionally during the day. And then it's a different culture than America. Families do live together more often over there. And he said it didn't really bother my grandfather, Bill, but my father, Douglas Dexter, had a series of breakdowns after this, and he died in 1992 at the age of just 44, 1
Wow.
year older than me.
Wow. Holy crap.
So
That's crazy.
and he says that, we still lived normal lives living there. He said, but they slept downstairs with the lights on. I don't know how to tell you this, Andrew. That's not normal.
It isn't, but I commend you for doing so.
This is a very excuse me. This is a very interesting story. Okay. This was like one that I kept digging. I kept digging. I wanted to find more. And I just couldn't.
Okay.
And I do want to point out before we get into this that normally like let's say the Conjuring house, the Perron family, where maybe not all of them, but the ones that we do know have made it kind of their existence, their identity. And for all accounts, I talked to Andrew online. I found him on Facebook, everything. He, outside of telling his story online, this is not his existence. He lives a very normal life.
He just shares his experience that he had.
He's not the guy who's like pushing for the world to know it, but I mean he has, there are articles and stuff, but in his personal life this isn't his existence. He didn't choose to let this define him.
Right.
And I want to throw that out there because that speaks volumes to me, because a lot of people, they have these experiences and it's like, maybe they'll make a movie or something.
Right. Or maybe we can make money off of the story or anything like that.
Exactly. And it just doesn't seem that way. But originally a market town, Bargoid grew into a substantial town following the opening of a colliery in 1903. Do you know what a colliery is?
No.
It's a mining business, or like a mining shaft or something like that. I didn't know what it was either.
Huh.
I guess we should know that kind of stuff, seeing we live in a mining area.
Probably. We actually went and visited a mining town.
We're from Florida.
Yeah.
By 1921, Bargoid had a population of 17,901. This has been steadily declining since that time, as the general demand for Welsh coal continued to fall. The colliery, which was the subject of a painting by Ellis Lowry, closed during the 1970s, and its former site is now a country park.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like nice little park where tons of people died. The town was home to a factory built by the Austin Motor Company in 1949. This was a project by Austin chairman Leonard Lord, with government funding, to employ miners suffering from lung disease caused by prolonged inhalation of dust. In 1945, it was estimated that 5,000 miners in the South Wales region were affected by the condition, to the extent that they could not work in the coal industry. The Austin factory at Bargoid became the first factory in the world where every employee was registered as disabled.
Wow.
I mean, at least,
oh my goodness,
at least they did something to, because once these people got sick, they couldn't do a lot.
Right.
So at least the government got together and said, well, we can make something for you so you can keep working. I mean, I don't have the best judge of the UK in any sense of time, but from what I kind of understand is like, we thought we were behind in 1920s and stuff like that, but it seems like they were real behind.
Well, and it's crazy too, because like nowadays in our, our time now, like over in Europe and things like that, like
now everything's better.
The medical side of things and the way they take care of their people, and it's just so far from the way that American medical
I want to
is.
comment on that, but I don't want to start a political debate
on
our show.
But like it's crazy.
But I do agree. With you.
It's so crazy.
I totally agree with you. It seems that European countries care way more about every person versus our government, who cares more about how much work that person can do, and it doesn't really matter. You're like a battery. We'll use you while you're running strong, and when you're done, we just don't care.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate.
It is, absolutely.
Ex-miners could work at Bargoid under full-time medical supervision and with medical facilities on site at the factory. The factory was understandably light, with the main product being the J40 children's pedal car.
Yeah.
Okay, I saw a picture of it,
Mhm.
and then right after we did this, I think that's what is over there in that mining town.
Shut up.
I think that's what it is.
No way.
I'd have to look it up. And if I can find the picture of the J40, I will post a picture of it when we release the episode.
So cool.
Yeah.
What?
I was like, wow, that's weird.
That's crazy.
The success and efficiency of the factory was such that 150 men were employed by 1953, and Austin began the manufacture of small metal pressings for its full-size cars, such as dashboard parts, car registration plates, and rocker covers at Bargoid. By 1965, over 500 men, all suffering from lung disease, were working at the factory. Production of the J40 pedal cars ended in 1971, but the factory's other work kept it open, so they still kept working.
Yeah. At least they didn't kind of narrow it down just to one thing.
No,
that
so
they did,
they wanted to make sure that they could provide for their families.
Yeah.
Improving conditions in the mining industry and the slow reduction in the number of mines and workers in the region meant that the factory's purpose began to become kind of redundant during the 1980s. Right about the time I came around. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
my birth solved a lot of things.
Oh my goodness.
The numbers employed slowly dropped, and new workers did not have to be lung disease sufferers. The end of production of the Austin A-Series engine in 1999, the rocker cover of which was made solely in Bargoid, meant that the factory, then under the ownership of the Rover Group, employing 45 people, of which only 11 were registered as disabled, finally closed.
Wow.
They didn't need it anymore
Yeah.
because people weren't sick anymore.
Wow.
The property was once residential and was called Gladstone Villa, named after the former Liberal Prime Minister William Gladstone. Now, being Americans, we are not going to know who that is.
No.
Americans are stupid. I'm sorry. We're just not smart. Well, we're smart when it comes to some things, but when it comes to other countries, we know nothing, which surprises me because I have friends from England.
Mm-hmm.
They know way more about us than we know about them.
I know. I have family in England.
But I can only, I speak to my European friends a lot. And I have more like when your family comes over, yeah, I see them. But this is somebody I talk to all the time. He's relatively my age. We don't know anything.
Okay, but I was 14 years on this earth.
That's a long time ago.
With a British grandmother from England who passed when I was 14. I still know nothing.
This was an interesting side note here. I just want to let everybody know that Megan comes from a mix of Kentucky holler people and then like proper British people.
I sure do.
It's so strange.
I sure do.
It's so strange. Gladstone was elected Tory MP for Newark in December 1832 at age 23 with ultra-conservative views. In Parliament, he spoke out against the abolition of slavery because his family used slaves on their West Indian plantation. He also opposed the recent democratic electoral reforms. In 1840, Gladstone began his rescue and rehabilitation of London's prostitutes. I bet you did, buddy. Even while serving as prime minister in later years, he would walk the streets trying to convince prostitutes to change their ways. And he spent a large amount of his own money on this work.
Huh.
How much do you want to bet he wasn't just out there to talk to them?
I don't know.
He was out there to hire some services.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think if someone's going out there to help these people change their ways, like they're fully committed and fully invested.
You're really giving us men way more credit than we deserve.
I mean, I get that, but I'm trying here.
I'm just saying, dude. I'm just saying, don't give us that much credit. In 1867, Gladstone became the leader of the Liberal, his arch rival, Disraeli. I think it's Disraeli. Yeah, Disraeli.
Spell it out.
Oh, that's right. His arch-rival,
Really.
Disraeli, becoming prime minister.
You're gonna kill me one of these days.
Gladstone
I'm
retired
sorry.
as
I'm so
leader of the
sorry, man.
Liberal Party, but remained an intimidating opponent, attacking the government fiercely over their weak response to Turkish brutality in the Balkans, known as the Eastern that we today would.
Uh-huh. Well then. Hi folks. So what did I say before? Your connection sucks.
Yeah.
In 1880, he became prime minister for a second time, much against Queen Victoria's will. She didn't like him. Her dislike of him was strong, complaining that he, quote, addresses me as though I were a public meeting. And for 2 years, he combined the offices of prime minister and chancellor of the exchequer. So the queen did not like him.
That's a person you don't want to have not like you.
Well, no, especially not back then. They had more power.
Yeah.
In 1885, the government's budget was defeated, prompting him to resign, with Lord Salisbury becoming prime minister. It sounds delicious.
Salisbury steak.
Gladstone declined an earldom offered by Queen Victoria, preferring to remain in office. So he could have been an earl, but he turned it down because he liked the power of,
Being prime
politics.
minister.
Yeah.
Wow.
In February 1886, age 76, he became prime minister for the third time, working in alliance with the Irish nationalists. He immediately introduced an Irish Home Rule Bill, proposing a parliament for Ireland. It was defeated, and he lost the general election held in July 1886. Gladstone would die on May 19th, 1898, from cancer, which started behind the cheekbone and spread across his body, and he was buried in Westminster Abbey.
Oh, dude, cancer in your cheekbone?
He was
Get
buried in
outta
Westminster
here.
Abbey.
Ouch.
Now, this is
E.
it's named after.
Okay.
We're going to get into the long line of people who resided here at Gladstone.
Okay.
I reached out to obviously not all of them because you see some of these dates and they're they're not around. But I did try to find the location of some of them, and it just wasn't happening. Now, the Kimiet family lived at Gladstone Villa in the 1920s. Michael Kimiet, his wife Evelyn, and their son Elvin Rollins Kimiet, who died at the property on the 29th of May, 1924, when he was just 4 months old. That's going to be a very important point later.
Okay.
Now, his funeral took place on June 2nd, 1924, and it was strictly a private affair, as stated in the archives of the local newspaper, the Western Mail, of that year. Just remember the 4-month-old baby dying.
Okay.
Then
Super sad.
it
I don't
is sad.
want to remember that, but okay.
You're going to need to. I'll probably point it out still. Then later, the Williams family were there in the 1940s. Hugh and his wife, Gwen, I love that name, and they had a son who was born in Gladstone Villa on March 8th of 1946. Now, the Mills family then lived at the property. Edgar Mills actually claimed it was haunted and said that there were tunnels nearby that led up to local villages of Galegair, something, where there was a Roman fort, and also Nelson, where there's a manor called Lanciac Farrer Manor.
Wait, what is that word?
Lanciac
No, not that one.
Farrer.
Flower?
Farrer. F-A-W-R.
Okay.
I told you there'd be words in here that I was going to have a hard time with. Whenever we do topics from other countries. I always struggle.
Yeah, it's hard.
However, there's no evidence that there are actually tunnels built on further research, though. It has been stated by a couple of sources that there is a priest hole in the property called the RAFA, which is directly opposite the Parse Hotel, which is what Gladstone Villa became,
Okay.
the Parse Hotel, one of the oldest buildings in Bargoed, and it dates back to the 17th century. And apparently, a priest hole is like a place that they would hide when there was like religious persecution.
Okay, so they just kind of get out of the wings as it was like
Yeah.
coming in.
They
Okay.
were kind of tunnelish, but they were like holes in the ground where they would hide when people decided that your religion was no longer okay.
Mm.
It happens all the time. The Higgs family moved to Gladstone Villa in 1960. William George Higgs, his wife Rita, and their only daughter, 10-year-old Caroline. This is where you really need to start listening to names. This
Okay.
is important because I started to really get into it at this point because there's a big connection here.
Okay.
Now, the Dexter family were there from 1968. William Douglas Dexter, his wife Caroline, and their only son Andrew, who was born in the summer of 1969. They moved out in 1978. The family in 1960, William George Higgs, his wife Rita, and their 10-year-old daughter Caroline, is the same Caroline Andrew wrote to me about, his mother. When they lived there, this was before the Dexter family moved in because she became Caroline Dexter.
What?
Yeah. And even though that there were claims of the family before that saying that there was haunted things happening,
Mhm.
I tried and searched and could found nothing about when the Higgs family lived there. But then
Hmm.
Andrew, who I talked to, is Andrew, who was born in 1969.
Wow. That's so cool.
Now, Caroline Dexter is the same 10-year-old Caroline Higgs who lived at Gladstone Villa previously. And we're not sure how she and William acquired the villa from that point, but we couldn't find any accounts of the Higgs family claiming anything paranormal about the property.
Hmm.
Now, the property was bought by local businessmen Aldo and John Ricci, and Gladstone Villa was eventually converted into a hotel during the 1980s after being empty for quite some time after the Dexter family left. And it was renamed Red's Parse Hotel. That's who I reached out to on Facebook.
Okay.
I got no response.
Was the hotel itself?
Yeah, they have a
Okay.
Facebook page.
Right.
It seemed up to date, but I got no response from them.
Hmm.
Now, from what we could find, the property is still open today, and it seems to be haunted if you ask some folks. I did find claims across the internet. Paranormal claims happen to this day, but one has stood out amongst them all. And it all started with the Dexter family and would change their lives forever.
Wow.
And
I think it's so cool. It's just looping back to the person that we have already talked to and that has said, hey, maybe you guys should look into this place
do
because.
you know how much it blew my mind when I was reading about the different people who live there? And I was like, oh, there was a Caroline in this family, and then a Caroline in this one. That is so weird. And then the more I dug, I realized this is the same person.
Wow.
But how come the Higgs family never had any experiences? The family before them did, and the family after them did. Maybe it's Caroline.
Interesting. Wow.
So that's
Huh.
the history of the property. And
Wow.
that's where it is today. I do believe it is the Reds Parse Hotel still.
Okay.
And there, if you go online, if you're lucky, you got to sift through a bunch of stuff. But people do claim to see things and hear things there, and like be
And
touched,
they're
and
staying at the hotel. Okay.
yeah, or just because I think they also do like events there and stuff. Because I
Okay.
believe
Gotcha.
Andrew told me too, like, or it's in maybe one of the things I read. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it because I think I kept it for the story at the end.
Okay.
Um, but things to this day still happen there. So I don't know. I don't know how all this plays together, and there's such a limited amount of information.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard when there's limited information because you're kind of
It's super
piecing
hard.
things together, but then you have somebody, you're reaching out and talking to someone who actually lived in this place. And we've kind of been wanting this to happen for a
Yeah.
really long time,
No, yeah.
like have this type of situation, but then you can't find a lot.
Yeah,
So
it's
I don't
well,
know.
it's also hard when you go to other countries for your story because in America, like we have like the Freedom of Information Act.
Right.
And like you can find anything on anything. Even if it's maybe not free and you got to pay a little bit, you can find anything you want.
Right.
In other countries, it's not like that. Because I remember I was trying to do an episode, I don't know, a year and a half ago, because I'm a big Beatles fan. And I
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
and I wanted to do the episode on the building where John Lennon was born, but there's just so little information out there that I couldn't make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that's when I realized that like unless it's a huge, huge location that's also garnered like a lot of research, in the past from this side, it's really hard to find what you need to find without going there.
Right.
And we're not going there.
And I think too, like, England tends to be I'm not gonna say stuck in the past, but like I would think that like when you're researching something, you'd have to go to a library, you'd have to like
Yeah.
look into newspaper clippings and
Mm.
things like that, where here in America you can look anything up on the
Yeah,
internet.
but
I mean, and I know
okay,
they have stuff out there on the
but
internet,
that's
don't
what
get
I'm
me wrong.
saying. Even over there, like their information is not as free as ours,
Right.
even to them.
Yeah.
So like they couldn't even just go out and look all this stuff up,
Oh, it's so crazy.
right? Because like we could find out anything about any person that's been arrested anywhere in the country.
Mm-hmm.
They can't. They can't do that.
Mm.
Not even about their own country.
Wow.
So
That's crazy.
but this is where we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you what happened from 1969 until 1978.
Okay.
Again, while you have the soundboards.
The world needs
And
ways
it's
to reduce carbon emissions.
We're working on solutions in our own operations.
like carbon capture.
and clean energy from hydrogen.
So, who are we?
Believe it or not, ExxonMobil. And our solutions could help businesses in
Hi.
manufacturing,
Commercial
For the
transportation.
stream,
And power generation too.
and my
heavy
diesel
industry
medium
with
bike.
low emissions.
So
Let's
love
deliver.
the ad.
Learn more at
Oh, thank
exxonmobil.com.
you so much.
This tip is brought to you by Neighborhood Health
Oh my
Plan of
God.
Rhode Island. With Neighborhood, you
5. We're proud.
So now that we've been
Oh,
through
thank God.
all the people who have lived there, which honestly is a lot more people than I thought I was going to find, we need to talk about what happened here.
Okay.
And this is, I don't know how to say this. This is not the most spectacular paranormal evidence, but ends up being one of the most spectacular stories.
Ooh, okay.
And I'll tell you why at the end, because even if you don't agree, I'll explain why I think so anyway.
Okay. Did they end up changing the name of the place where priests hid? Because I would like them to do that.
You got an issue with priest hole?
I don't like that. I don't
really
like
figured
that.
that'd be more me making that joke, not you.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I don't know. It just keeps running through my head.
Stay out of the priest hole, kids. Oh, that
Hey!
sounds bad.
Bruh.
Hey, man. For most people in Bargoid, Cardiff Road is just a long thoroughfare that leads into the town. But for one family, it was the site of ghostly incidents and paranormal activity for nearly a decade. Gladstone Villa, a large 3-story building, became the home to the Dexter family in 1960. The property, which is now Ty Parse Care Home, I also tried to look that up.
Okay.
Okay, these are not my words. These are somebody else's words.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was Ty Parse Home and then Red's Parse Hotel. I think that's how it was. It's really hard to tell.
Okay.
It's really
That's-
difficult.
That's fair.
It says it's now the Ty Parse Home, Ty Parse Care Home, but if you look it up, Red's Parse Hotel, it's there. It dates back to the early 1900s and was named
say
after the former
Red
Prime Minister William
Parseltongue?
Gladstone. But it was
What?
not until after Andrew was born
Okay,
in 1969 that his family witnessed paranormal activity. According to Andrew, he lived at a large property called Gladstone Villa in the former mining town of Bargoid in the Caerphilly County borough of the South Wales Valleys in the UK. From 1969 to 1978, they experienced activity that simply defied rational explanation, such as lights going on and off. The family claims to have witnessed electrical cables being pulled, and Andrew's grandfather Bill claimed to have had a glass bottle thrown towards him as he entered the main bedroom one day, missing him by just inches. Andrew admits that he didn't personally see this himself, but he can still recall the time he came from there with the broken bottle in his hands, and he told the family what happened.
Mm.
So there is evidence.
Okay, that's
However, I could say anything. I could pick up anything, and be like, "This was thrown at me."
Mm.
So we're not quite at that point yet, but something's happening. Andrew also claims that there was the occasional sighting, but that this was a very rare occurrence. So rare that in all the 9 years he was there, he himself never saw it once.
Mm.
But he claims that he did hear the entity many times in one of the bedrooms. Allegedly, his mother Caroline claims to have seen it on at least 2 occasions. So now we're talking about full-bodied apparitions.
right.
So they're
Like
seeing it.
actually seeing
Yeah.
things.
So they're
Wow.
seeing it. Now, there are also regular footsteps heard in the main bedroom almost every evening. Sometimes during the day, when the family would all be downstairs watching TV, one of them would turn the volume down to hear it more clearly, and Andrew's grandfather, Bill, would point to the ceiling and say, quote, "He's by here and he's by there now," trying to make out where the footsteps were coming from exactly. So they were like,
Tracking it.
yeah, they were tracking it through the room.
Yeah.
So they were
Wow.
that prominent.
Yeah.
That prominent. Like that's
amazing.
that's really that's saying something, because usually they're like, did you maybe hear footsteps? And they're
Yeah.
like, no, we could
Like you heard a thud.
we could map
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Wow.
There are 5 members of the family that were living at Gladstone Villa. Andrew's maternal grandfather, William Higgs, known as Bill to family and friends, a retired coal miner who worked at the local colliery. He was a short, bald man who liked nothing more than to listen to his country and Western LPs, Johnny Cash and Glenn Campbell, and so on. He also liked Westerns on TV that starred John Wayne and Clint Eastwood, so he was cool. His maternal grandmother was Rita Higgs. She was a short woman who enjoyed smoking. She also liked collecting garden gnomes and liked watching soap operas on TV. It sounds like my mother. Andrew's mother, Caroline Dexter, met his father at the local bakery. She was working the day shift regularly, and his father worked the night shift. He would stay behind to make her a cup of tea and chat.
Aw.
Very, very sweet. They dated for 3 years before they got married on Monday, April 1st, 1968. The Beatles were number 1 with Lady Madonna. They did not get a place of their own, but they decided to live with, he says, my grandparents, but, the Higgs family, at Gladstone Villa, which is located on Cardiff Road. Andrew was later born on August 24th, 1969, when everyone was listening to the latest number 1 in the charts, Honky Tonk Woman by the Rolling Stones. It was soon after that his mother said that strange things started to happen around the house. So maybe there's a connection to Andrew.
Wow.
I have a theory.
Okay.
Okay. Andrew was just a baby when his mother claims it all started, like small tapping here and there, but nothing too noticeable. But over time, the activity gradually increased. One time, his mother said the family heard a noise like someone jumping down from the attic and onto the landing. Naturally thinking that someone was trying to break in, they went to see what was going on. But when they got there, they found nobody. But the hatch to the attic was actually open.
Stop.
They believed whatever it was eventually made its way to the main bedroom, which happened to be his grandparents' room, and it soon made its presence felt by walking around the bedroom, and sounds of dragging could be heard.
Ew. No thanks.
I mean, up until now, it was fine.
Right. Just a couple little things here and there.
Dragging. I don't know. One day, Andrew says his mother went upstairs to the bedroom to get his father up for work. When she got there, she was surprised by the sight of the ironing board placed on his father's torso as he slept. When he woke up, he was baffled as to what was even happening. So think about it. It was like laying on the bed with it across like his midsection.
Right.
Weird, right? Because these aren't
super weird.
These aren't the claims I'm used to hearing. Right? We've read so many stories, and it's usually like the stuff that you could only imagine in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like, I don't want to say normal, but like, I don't know about a broke neck lady floating around the house, but like, how did this ironing board get here? Sounds more realistic, because
it does. It really does.
Just a side note for the listeners, we were going to record. Life has been happening. That's all I'm going to say. But it does pertain to, like, it would be really nice if this podcast would take off. I come down to the basement after the last time we've recorded, and we kind of did move some things around on the shelves and the backdrop that you're going to see in videos. And something was just on the floor that we didn't put on the floor. It was on the table, and it wasn't close to the edge. It was just on the table. But nobody had been down here since
Nope.
the last time we recorded.
Like, he even texted me at work pictures of all of this and was like, "Did you come down here? Did you move this?"
And now, oh, I see where it's supposed to go now.
Yes. It's
Oh.
literally a shelf on the wall, highest point on the wall you can get. And it was tumbled down onto the floor.
It's even weirder now
But
because
it's
there's
farther away than the one on the edge.
there's nothing wrong with that shelf.
I know. The whole shelf is intact. Everything else is still up there.
I will say 90% of the stuff came from thrift stores.
Yeah. Well, 90% of our house came from thrift stores. I'm just saying.
Yeah. We should probably stop doing that.
So many things from thrift stores. We love thrifting.
Yeah. Now, Andrew suspected his grandfather Bill was playing pranks, but in time, he would discover that Bill was not responsible for it. He would eventually tell his work friends what was going on at home, and it got around town that Gladstone Villa was haunted. Andrew's parents unfortunately separated in 1972, and his father left Gladstone Villa, but, quote, it wasn't because of what was going on at Gladstone Villa. It was just a breakdown of the marriage. They finally divorced in April of 1975.
Oh,
that's sad because we just had the bakery.
Yeah.
It's been a great love story. As Andrew got older, he claims to have witnessed the activity for himself. He says he saw the poltergeist activity. He allegedly saw the electrical cables being pulled by unseen forces. He claims he saw the lights going off and on, and when his grandfather Bill would play records on Sunday, as they usually had family dinners on Sundays, whatever it was would turn the music off.
Oh.
The entity seemed very active when he played the British band Slade and during any religious TV shows his grandmother Rita would watch. The local police were also involved. Andrew recalls them popping their heads into the attic, hesitating and refusing to go in, and then saying it was his father playing a prank on the family.
And they're all like, no, we called you.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Well, maybe they just thought, maybe they thought the father was salty because of the divorce, so he's like messing with. I don't know, but
yeah, but it was happening while he was there too.
But they're just now getting involved. I don't know. I can't tell you because I'm not British police. A family friend, Mrs. Ivy France, was very skeptical when Bill told her that Gladstone Villa was haunted. Andrew remembers Mrs. France going into the main bedroom, looking around and saying it was vibration from the traffic outside causing it. But she soon changed her mind when she experienced it for herself.
Oh.
It was then, Andrew says, she suggested the local press be advised and a medium being contacted. Now, the medium was John Matthews, and when he came to Gladstone Villa, he started by asking the family members questions. He then began by asking the entity to knock on the ceiling, and for sure enough, it surprised everyone when it did what he asked.
Wow.
At some point, John went into a trance and tried to contact whatever it was, but he failed to get a name. He later confirmed the
Wesley.
I'm very skeptical about mediums.
I know you are.
There's just been too many people caught faking.
I agree. I do agree with that. However,
yeah, I know.
I really want to find a video of mediums tried
a priest by the name of Graham Jones was then called.
And there's a way I find the videos of it.
He blessed the property, and after a few prayers, it was quiet for a few months after that. No incidents, but it did return, and with a vengeance. And this time, it decided to show itself.
Stop. No.
One evening, Bill, Caroline, and Andrew were watching television. Rita was reading a book when suddenly Caroline looked to her left and she allegedly saw the full, solid apparition of a monk standing by the doorway.
Oh.
The rest of the family did not see it because they were preoccupied, but she would later describe it in great detail as a monk in a brown cloak, complete with hood over the head, so she couldn't see the face.
Wow.
Remember, there's a monastery next door.
Right. Super close.
Fred Davies was a friend of Bill's who worked with him and would visit most evenings. Fred was a slim man who wore a flat cap and glasses and smoked homemade cigarettes, also another rad guy. He would sit in his favorite chair by the open fire and talk to the family and watch TV with them. One day, Fred was in his usual place by the fire. It was very quiet when suddenly there was a very loud bang. It was so loud that Fred ducked his head, and Andrew ran to his mother. When it was quiet, they would all go upstairs. Bill would always be first, and Andrew would always be last. When they got to the room the bang seemed to come from, they found nothing that could account for the noise. Fred later told them that he ducked his head because he thought it was going to come through the ceiling.
Wow.
So these aren't the bangs that we're used to hearing about.
Right.
This one is so loud, like he thought something was coming through the floor.
Wow. That's intense.
Fred also told of another experience he had at Gladstone Villa. He claimed that he felt something brush past him. But when he looked, there was nothing there. So he's being touched too.
Right. Like you get the I don't know if I know no one's
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
Talk to him.
So like I've had experiences where I feel things like brush past me.
Girl,
and
I just
like
brushed past you during the ad break.
and like just like super close near you, but there's nothing there. It's a very specific feeling.
Yeah,
And
it's
like
when you feel like a hair touches you and like there's nothing there.
not
Or
even, it's like hair mixed with air, but it's like thick. I don't know. It's crazy.
It's ominous. It's a very ominous feeling.
It's creepy.
Andrew remembers an experience he had when he was alone in that bedroom. The light was on and it was very quiet. He was laying on the bed facing the window that overlooked Cardiff Road when he suddenly felt something heavy jump on the bed. He says he heard the bed springs and he felt the bed bounce. When he looked up, there was nothing there. He ran downstairs to tell his family, and they all went back up to look. And there, they saw distinctive paw marks on the bed, like that of an animal. Andrew later found out that Bill had a black Labrador named Tovey, who died when he was born.
Nope. I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
It's almost like this is a pet
Oh
cemetery.
my God. No.
Everything that dies here comes back.
Stop it. Like what?
It's not.
Pause on the bed.
Yeah, and in a house
Out of your freaking mind.
in a
dude.
house that has no dog.
Nope.
Right, so there's not even a like, well, it was probably your dog. There is no dog. That's nuts.
I just read ahead in your
It's-
little thing
no,
right here, and
yeah.
I knew
I'm
I
gonna
knew
turn
when you
those-
pointed this specific thing out
Okay.
that this is what was going to happen. I knew it.
Bill and Caroline claimed to have once heard a baby crying in the house.
Mm-hmm.
The activity got so bad that Caroline, Rita, and
Oh,
Andrew
hell no.
slept downstairs with the lights on. It was only Bill who was brave enough to sleep in there after that.
So
It was
the
then
bed
that
part,
Bill would have yet another experience in there.
Of course he did, because he stayed.
I
Nope.
told you the baby would come back.
Nope.
Bill claimed that he was lying in bed when all of a sudden he couldn't move. He couldn't even shout for help. This could have been sleep paralysis, but he said he heard something in the room with him.
Of course he did.
Rita also had her own experiences. One day she went upstairs into that room to get Andrew's father up, and that's when she saw the boiler door wide open by itself. She didn't stay in there to see what it was, and she rushed out of the room. I think there's like a boiler, like a little boiler door.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never been to the UK.
Me either.
Sounds dangerous.
I wish I could.
Yeah.
I want to.
On another occasion, she said she had the sensation of something pulling on her foot, like she had stepped on her own gown. Now, they dealt with it, the ghost, for so long that Rita gave it a pet name. Don't do that.
That's where you went wrong.
Don't do that.
Oh.
She called him
Wait.
Johnny, and Bill would eventually start to shout out that name to provoke a reaction, but nothing would happen. Now, Miss Ivy Francis's son, Charles, got to hear about what was going on at Gladstone Villa, and he came along with some friends, and with the family's permission, they went into the bedroom. It frightened one of his friends, and to this day, the friend still says it was a spooky place.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so
It left such an imprint on him that he's like, yeah, no.
yeah,
Like, absolutely
Like,
not. I
people are
will
just
never go.
getting the feeling at this point. They're just feeling
And
it.
if no one's ever had that feeling, there's no way to describe it. You can try,
It's like a pit in your stomach.
but then there's like this full body, like heavy, ominous, like it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
you can
so
definitely
crazy.
feel the change in the room.
And there's so many things that come along with it, like so many different feelings, I think, and it might be different for other people.
I'm
I
sure
don't
it
know,
is.
but I don't know. For me, when I've experienced something like that, it's like a full body thing, but there's different things going on.
It's so weird because when I stand over you while you sleep and stare at you, you don't seem to feel anything. Anyways, Caroline had an operation and ended up on crutches.
Excuse
The
me.
local-
We're not just gonna breeze right past that.
I'm just kidding.
Ugh.
Maybe. Caroline had an operation and ended up on crutches. The local nurse would tend to her foot. And Caroline was sitting on the chair when the nurse came in one day and knelt down to tend to her foot. She told Caroline not
Wait,
to
I
hold
just
on to her.
realized he is getting better
Caroline
reading now.
looked at
Last time
Rita
he
in
was a
amazement as
crappy reader.
she wasn't
I just
holding the
realized
nurse at
that.
all.
Oh
What?
wow! Yeah, I didn't
The
even
only
that.
time Andrew heard the ghost being vocal was the time they were all in that room. One of them needed to use the bathroom and couldn't open the door. Bill said, "He's behind there." But then Andrew quite distinctively heard the sound of chanting and then silence.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ugh. Nope.
That's this Poltergeist. That's all I can think of right now is the movie Poltergeist.
I mean, there's so many different things going on here. Like we have all these names for like different
It
kinds
should
of
be in a
hauntings
movie.
and things like that.
This stuff
Like
should be in like a
residual
movie.
things that kind of
Oh,
happen
this
constantly,
isn't residual.
or like things moving. You got your poltergeists, and then you've got just kind of in the
This is so
background
poltergeisty.
noises.
I know you've never seen Poltergeist, but somebody out there listening has. I'm just waiting for somebody to be in the bathroom and their braces come out of their face and start attacking them.
I don't know what that means.
I know you don't, but I'm sure somebody does. The family left in the summer of 1978 when two local businessmen bought the property, and Gladstone Villa was eventually converted into a small hotel and its name changed to Red's Parse Hotel. On the night before they moved, there was one final incident they experienced, as if it knew that they were moving out, and it was its way of saying goodbye.
Of course that happened.
Caroline, Rita, and Andrew got ready to go to sleep. The light was still on, and that's when they heard the doorknob turning, as if someone was trying to get in. At first, they suspected it was Bill, as he was the only one who slept upstairs in that room, and it may have been him playing a prank. That's what they thought. A lot of the time throughout this, they always think Bill is just messing with them.
Right.
Now, Andrew called out to him, but there was no answer, no laugh that would give him away. They then heard their belongings that were packed in the hallway being thrown around. The next day, they asked Bill if it was him playing a joke on them, and he insisted it wasn't him, and the family believed him.
Wow.
Now, Andrew ended up having his 40th birthday at Red's Parse Hotel in August of 2009.
Cool.
And the female staff told him about paranormal activity they were having. He then told them about what happened to him 30 years earlier. The staff told him about lights going off and on, and odd sightings in room 5. A bride in white was even seen. Claims of a baby crying that made no sense to him at the time.
Oh my God.
Andrew actually went on to do some thorough research of the property, which, in all honesty, is where I got most of this.
Okay.
From
Thank you, Andrew.
From a few different websites, but almost all his research, and the Cardiff Road area. He found out some very interesting things, like Bargoed Library and the local newspaper archives say Gladstone Villa dates back to 1900, and it was named after former British Prime Minister William Gladstone. He discovered the previous people that lived there, the Kimiet family in 1924, the newly married couple, Michael and Evelyn Kimiet, and a son named Elvin Kimiet, who died, of course, at the age of just 4 months old. And according to the archives of Cardiff newspaper, the Western Mail that year, this explained the baby Caroline and Bill had been hearing in the bedroom.
Nope. Nope.
So they think it's the baby
Nope.
that died.
No, thank you.
Miss Evelyn Kimiet died in 1970, soon after Andrew was born. He also found that there was a monastery in Baldwin Street where his
Hold on.
parents met and worked.
Could you
And
please
there
pause
is a
this for a
property
moment?
directly across from the former Gladstone Villa property, dating back to the 16th century.
Hold on. My brain is wrapped around of this need to make it into a movie. This really need to make into a movie. All this stuff happened. All this stuff. I keep zooming out some part of the. Like, wait. You say a iron board? An iron board just laying down across of what his like friend or someone he knows, like on his chest. Like, it sound like that's I don't know. You do remember this? It sound like the spearbacks we did with a grandma we have like some we have. Yeah, you remember? You remember? I recognize the face. Like yeah, I remember. And soon we go to bed, and next morning I found my a second blanket on me, like spread out, perfect, neat. Like there's no in like hell I did that in my sleep. And I tell you, like that's funny. I have the same thing happen to me, but this blanket was folded up in a drawer somewhere. I never got I found like never had got it out. Like, so this almost like this of it could happen to you. Like this stuff could happen to you in real life, but it's funny how and like you tell people like, no, I don't believe you. 30 years later, if there's someone working that place, like, what? That's happened to you 30 years ago? Same stuff happened to us, but in different ways now. Like, huh, interesting. Okay. Right. So interesting ways. Now, I brain is broken now. Go ahead.
Century. It is now a public house called the RAFA Club or Rafa Club, a priest hide, which is, I think they did change it. It's called a priest hide.
Oh, look, they did change it.
Is said to be there and it's sealed up, possibly explaining the monk that Caroline saw.
Oh my God.
This is Andrew Dexter's story that he stands by today. He reached out to us on X or Twitter and asked us to take a look at it. So we did. Andrew's story has never changed. And he has, as far as we can tell, he hasn't tried to get rich off his story. Now, the next statement was written by Andrew on the website supernaturalconfessions.com. Quote, what I have said here is true. I wouldn't share this if I couldn't possibly back this up. And I have used real names as I have nothing to hide. And all I've said can be verified by the family of those people that I mentioned. Sadly, some of the people I have mentioned are no longer with us. I challenge any hardened skeptic and firm non-believer, and I can assure them that they will indeed most certainly question their belief system. Of this, I have no doubt at all whatsoever. In fact, I'm 100% positive.
Whoa.
And that is the story of Gladstone Villa.
Wow, that was a lot.
It's a lot, yeah.
That was a lot. That's all. I have no words. I have no words.
But it's a good story.
It is such a good story. Are you kidding me?
But some things that like I wanted to point out at the beginning is like these aren't the most outlandish things. Like this is when I think of a real haunting, this is what I envision.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This isn't the the devil
I
showing
just
up
say
and
that.
the pits of hell opening up in your living room. We just
Holy
always hear
crap.
about these extreme like cases.
Mm-hmm.
But everything
next
that is
time you
claimed to
talk
happen
to
here
him,
can be linked to something
tell
else
him
around that
the
house.
story is
Wow.
just
That
read
is amazing.
But I
like
also
on
wonder,
June 10th, 2014.
did
Uploaded.
Andrew's birth spark some
Tell
of this?
him. As I say, they
I
should
don't
make a
Because he would have been the
movie of
first
this
baby
shit.
back into the home after the baby
I
died
don't
there.
know.
Right.
It's freaking.
I don't know. It seems to be that way.
I
For
mean,
sure.
it's something like that.
I mean, all signs,
Yeah.
like stuff kicked back up when a baby was brought home to the house, whether I don't know if he was born in there. Did it say he was born in the house?
He was born at that house, yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
So with all that, we got to do the thing.
Again, why? Why you even
What do
do
you
this?
think about this? Do you think this is real?
I absolutely 100% think this is real. I believe Andrew. I believe his story. I believe everything that he has said. He has stood by his story for what, 40 something years?
Well, I'm 40 something years old. He was born in 69.
You know what I'm like?
50 years.
All of these things.
He has said the same story for the last 50 years.
And he has done the research on this place. Like, it's stuck with him.
Oh, yeah, I'd say so.
And I absolutely 100% believe that this is real. I think the history and the depth of the place where they live, and I just all the things. I am truly at a loss for words for this.
Yeah.
But yes, I absolutely believe this is real. What about you, babe?
I believe also. I think that this is there's nothing about this that is like sends off alarm bells to me. But I will say the things that speak highly to me are the fact that Andrew hasn't tried to make this his whole existence, for one.
Absolutely.
He hasn't tried to he hasn't really tried to capitalize on this as much as he probably could. And the fact that even when we talked, he really only answered the questions that I asked, and he didn't try to give me extra stuff to make it like scary, or like he just wanted us to tell a story.
Right.
And to me, that says a lot because, again, I will bring up the Perrin family, who there's 1,000 books on, there's movies on, and everything else,
Right.
and it doesn't seem like he's done that. Like he's just like, this is my story, and I want people to know about it, and that's it. So I don't know. It just doesn't seem overly complicated of a story. And even though it sounds like we named off a lot of stuff, this was in a 10-year period. So we're talking footsteps, an apparition that was only seen a couple times. But I think that the baby crying thing, and the fact that a baby, historically did die in that house.
Right.
And then the fact that the time she saw the apparition, it was a monk. And of course, there's a monastery across the street.
Everything adds up too much.
Yeah, and it is on, medieval land where people died, in a town, a mining town where people died all the time. So a
Wow.
lot of this makes sense to me.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I do think it's real. So this one gets it gets the seal of approval from us. And it is, I wish there was a movie about this.
100%. Are you kidding me?
I really do wish there was a movie
Oh, that
about
would be so cool.
this. Would be such a good story. But the problem is like we also live in a time where the reason that the YouTube videos do so well is, because people, they make them over lavish, and they embellish so much. And
yeah. Oh yeah.
in a story like this seems too realistic, and people, they'd probably be bored with it, which it sucks. But
I wouldn't be. I'm
I
just
wouldn't be
saying,
either.
I would not be.
So, Andrew, we appreciate you reaching out, and thank you for talking with me and your story. I mean, I believe you. I do believe you.
We do. We do believe you, Andrew. And thank you so much for letting us share your story on our show.
And we can do a little interview with you and talk to the people.
Yeah. If you're willing to, we are so ready.
Tell us about your experience. Maybe there's little stuff that was left out, or maybe things that just isn't online that you could tell us about. That'd be kind of cool.
And anybody else out there too, like we're always open to hear your stories as well.
I can't
especially
talk
if you
to
had
people.
a haunting. That'd be awesome.
I'm next to my
That was
idea.
super cool.
But
Super cool.
This is the end of the story. Where can they find us?
They can find us on Instagram at For the B-oos_podcast and on Facebook at For the B-oos.
You can also find us on X. I'll just say X from now on because that's what it is. At For the B-oos. YouTube at For the B-oos. And now that we are working on this new format, we are planning on the videos being recorded this week.
Yes.
You can also find us everywhere. Just look up For the B-oos podcast. I look ourselves up and it's everywhere.
For the B-oos. For the B-oos.
That's right. And if listen, if you think other people might enjoy us, share the episodes, put them out there to the world, tell your friends about it. And if you'd also like to help support the show, reach out to Patreon.
Yes.
Patreon, we do an extra little show on there called Behind the Booze, where
we do.
We read people's ghost stories and make fun of them.
Some of them
Some of them are.
They are okay. I mean,
some of them,
but it's a little
some
more.
of them aren't.
It's a little more raunchy of a show, I guess.
Yeah,
we don't hold back.
It's not
so,
family friendly.
If you're interested, go on and be a Patreon member.
Just look us up For the B-oos on just about everything you can imagine. And don't forget to rate and review.
That's right.
We're not getting any. And those really do help, especially, to tell other people about the show and help,
it
get
bumps
people
us up and gets our name out there a little
That's
more.
right. And maybe we could get some new listeners, which would help out greatly because we would like to make this an all the time thing. And
we would.
I'd like this to be my job one day.
Yeah.
I love doing this. But anyways, I guess that's for us to worry about. Go ahead and take us out.
Well, thank you everybody so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye. Stay out of the priest hole.
My ears. My ears. So, I have no words about the creepy, horrifying thing that's just read. I do believe, he should probably make into a movie or some kind of shit because the way he say it, I never listened to the whole thing, the half of thing of what they're saying, because I keep zooming in and out, zooming in and out. I'll only pick up a couple of things, but I do believe they should make this into a movie or a episode, like a TV show sequel or something, because that's spooky as shit. If if you walking down the hallway all by yourself and you know you're all by yourself, but you saw like a figure walking past you, nah, and you're thinking like, huh? Like, is that my friend? Like, is my friend walking down the hallway? Like, you look around, like, where did he go? Like, who was that? That is 100% spooky. Yeah, don't know. I have nothing to say about the movie. And just sitting there, like, Dragon, please keep going talking, please. I have no microphone. I have nothing to say. I have nothing. I cannot speak. Please keep going, Dragon. That's all you give me that look like. Please, Dragon, please, you're the only one. You're the only one can talk. You have a damn microphone. I can't. My grandmama is sitting next to me. If I talk crazy things, she gonna look at me like, child, are you possessed over there? Are you okay? You need help? You need family college help over there? Do you need me come over there? Mine is sound piece when she says, it's funny. It's funny. Your own grandmother does it not know. Like, oh my god. Like, happy, peaceful bliss of families. Thank goodness. Ugh. Anyway, so it sound like really, really our protective. If everything in time we do is spear box, a lot of spooky things happen to us. Everything on the end of the spear box. Sometimes it's spooky, sometimes there's nothing there at all. Sometimes this and that. Everything is 100% dirty, clean, creepy. What do you just type? You did not type nothing. You forgot to there we go. All right. Oh, this is for me. All right, we will that it for the today. Bye, everyone. To see this next time. See ya. Stay tuned, folks. I had to be her voice and her